All right. We brought Spencer's K24 CRX. We just put the engine in it and then turned around and put a whole new clutch in it today. And he brought me to the new EJ project. We were told it had a blown up motor, but it seems to have started up fine. So we'll see how this goes on the ride home.
I think so. I don't know. Whatever it is, it ain't good. All right, already off to a bad start.
You're already off to a great start. This is good.
Is your fan on coming on? All right. Yeah, that was pretty sweet. Good time. Crisis averted. Spencer didn't plug his fan in, so
The whole video series is going to be me messing up on stuff and
Yeah.
you fixing it.
it's gonna be great.
All right, welcome to the build. We got ourselves here is a 1995 Honda Civic. It's got a stock automatic 1.5 liter. We got it for like $700 because the transmission was shot. They said they thought it had a rod knock, but it was just the sound of whatever was left of the transmission getting smashed around on the inside. But it made it home. And we eventually drained the transmission, and it just, the amount of glitter that was in the transmission was pretty insane. So we're gonna go ahead and yank this engine out. This is the stock motor, and we're gonna be putting in a 2.4 liter out of a Acura TSX. I got the TSX for $1,200 off a guy. It was a red TSX that it looked like he had rear-ended someone, put a whole new silver front end on it, and then rear-ended another person, so it had a smashed silver front end on a red car. And the clutch had gone out on it, so he had paid someone to put a new clutch in it, and I don't know if he just didn't break it in or they didn't resurface the flywheel, so that clutch was slipping super bad, and the guy was just super sick of the car. I lowballed him pretty hard, and he just said, come get it, I don't even care. So for $1,200 we got a running TSX, and by running I mean the clutch slipped the whole way home. It was just barely drivable at all. Just smelled like burnt clutch too. And that engine has 285 or 295,000 miles on it, so it's a pretty worn-in engine, I guess you could say. But surprisingly, when I did take it apart eventually, it wasn't in as bad a shape as you would assume a 300,000-ish mile engine would have on it. So we're gonna go ahead and yank the dash out of this, everything off the firewall, everything goes. We're taking out anything it doesn't need. This car is gonna be like a, I don't know, I wanna be able to do autocross in it. I do a lot of autocross. I also wanna be able to take it to the track and run on the big courses. Try to make it as close as I can to something that can kind of do everything, and I'm also gonna just overdo everything. We're gonna do the sheet metal on the firewall. We're gonna do all new wiring harness. We're gonna do ourselves. We're eventually gonna build an insane motor for it and just try and squeeze as much power out of it as we can. I teamed up with my buddy Spencer to part the car out. He got way more than $1,200 for all the stuff off it. Sold the headlights, the intake, the exhaust, the wheels, the front brakes, leather interior, tail lights, rear bumper, just every random thing on that car someone wanted. And then we eventually sold the pick and pull for $250. They came and picked it up off of us. We filled the entire trunk full of old motorcycle tires, car tires, AA batteries, some car batteries. All that stuff we just need to get rid of. We just packed up in there before we sent it off. The engine came out of this pretty smooth. We don't need the radiator, power steering, air conditioning, wiring harness, really any of that stuff. It's got cruise control. all that stuff's coming off it, stripping it down. And then we're gonna pull the transmission off of it. So this transmission has a terrible grind going into second gear. Like no matter what you did, you couldn't rev match it or do anything to get it smooth. So my original plan was to pull the synchros out, put new synchros in, and put a LSD in it. But Spencer just happened to come across like a 2008 or a 2010 Civic Si, and it had the 6-speed with the LSD. It had been in a wreck. It was at pick and pull, and the mount on the transmission that holds the slave cylinder on had snapped off, so there was no way to mount a slave cylinder onto it. So the plan is to use a hydraulic slave cylinder inside the transmission and not have to mount something on the outside. So this will give us a 6-speed LSD transmission, a 300,000 mile kind of beat down TSX engine, and this should really get us going for a race season. So I'm gonna race this out at Thunder Hill, and I'm also gonna be doing a lot of autocross on this. I kind of love doing both, seat time and seat time. So we got it out of the car, and we'll have to finish the engine bay and everything else on the other one before we slap it in that. So stay tuned for more.